let's go here. I need my sip. Need my sips, folks. Hold on a minute, let me get myself comfortable. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Throughout the Northeast, it looks like as though winds. Well, actually, let's just cover the northeastern quadrant of the country. We have northwesterly winds, just anywhere east of the Dakotas and the Great Plains, shifting towards the northeast after it crosses through the Appalachian Mountains. Though places like the Ohio Valley, the interior parts of the Northeast, winds are moving up to 25 miles an hour there. Excuse me. Plenty of winds all across the coastal parts. Sorry. Plenty of coastal areas. Winds are blowing between 20 to 30 miles an hour. Hold on a minute, folks. I'm getting something. Alright, I'm back. Anyway, this bit... this sharp turn of winds coming from the northwest and to the northeast actually extends towards the Gulf. So you can see here all the way to Alabama and Georgia and even... No, not really. However, winds, winds coming from the south, they're actually shifting back to the west. Only in Maine, though, with winds on the coast, they're blowing between 20 to 30 miles an hour, but a little light on the interior side. Florida, their winds are mostly, in the northern part of the state, winds are generally blowing to the east, but in South Florida, winds are moving to the southeast, mostly up to 20 miles an hour. We got a surface high pressure where you have a clockwise flow of winds moving away from the center. Places like Texas and the southern plains. The northern plains, though, there's plenty of light and variable winds. The winds are diverging. We've already talked about what's to the east, but to the west, winds are actually coming from the west generally, but then they shift to the northwest. But they're moving up to 30 miles an hour, though. But in the northern Rockies, some places have winds they're blowing up to 40 miles an hour, maybe close to 45. And they're actually coming from the west, especially in the Pacific Northwest. But in central Idaho, winds are somewhat light and variable. Near Spokane, winds are blowing up to 40 miles an hour there, up to 30 throughout much of the rest of the state, plus the rest of the Columbia River Valley. Light and variable winds throughout most of the desert Southwest and the Great Basin states. Plenty of atmospheric moisture, as you can see, folks, bringing all that moisture. Places like the tropical Pacific, thus bringing in all that moisture into places like the Pacific Northwest. To prove my point, that's not what I had in mind. It's not what I had in mind, folks. But before we can actually get to the gusts part, I want to go back here because I want to see what we have in terms of satellite using water vapor imagery in the upper part of the atmosphere. So let's just play this quick. I mean, although the capability is very limited, but regardless, there's plenty of atmospheric moisture coming from various parts of the tropical Pacific, including Hawaii, bringing all that moisture towards places like the Pacific Northwest, but it just goes beyond that and affects places like the Bitterroot Mountains of Idaho, the Northern Rockies, thus leading to more warmth and moisture there. But some places, though, are cold enough to produce snow. I mean, as you can see, folks, there's this flow of moisture, which does indicate that we do have an apparent visual of what a jet stream looks like. It's pretty cold right here, and especially for folks in the Northeast. I mean, I do see that we do have some subtropical jet. You guys see right now, it's quite dry, but it's bringing all that dry weather into places like southern Texas, all various parts of the South, like Texas to Florida, and parts of the desert Southwest too. Now let me go back here because that's the part where we are going to talk about gusts. Now, the gusts, plenty of gusts are located throughout places like the East Coast. Mostly gusts are blowing around between 30 to 50 miles an hour, about up to 50 miles an hour throughout the Appalachian mountain chain, all the way to upstate New York, and as well as the lower Ohio Valley to the mid-Mississippi Valley, Tennessee, only in places that's located deep within the Great Lakes, as you can see. But they're blowing up to 60 miles an hour there. Just plenty of strong gusts. They're blowing a little past 70 miles an hour, but a few places, from what I've heard based on reporting, that wind gusts are blowing up to 90 miles an hour. Especially in parts of Washington State, or Columbia River Valley. It's quite something, folks. It is quite something. Now, how would I know about this? Okay, so this one has 65 miles per hour in gusts. 66. Yep. $68 miles an hour. Oh yeah, what about in Colorado? Yep, 68 miles an hour. Located to the west of Denver. In gusts. Just up to 40 miles an hour in the heart of Texas. Humidity? Well, there's a lot of humidity from the Smoky Mountains all the way up to the northeast. A little bit of drought in the Carolinas. Somewhat humid in Florida and throughout the rest of the Gulf Coast. But plenty of drought, plenty of dry weather throughout much of Texas. Parts of the desert Southwest. But there's a lot of humidity to go around in the Pacific Northwest, to the northern tier of the country, and Yellowstone, eastern Montana. Let's take a look at rainfall accumulation in the next 24 hours, though. Well, there is plenty of rainfall to go around throughout various parts of New England. In which case, Maine, some places may have an estimate of up to half an inch of rain, but throughout some places throughout other parts of New England and upstate New York, definitely no more than half an inch. But Long Island, about up to a tenth of an inch, up to a quarter inch in West Virginia, and just south of Bristol, and as well as folks in parts of Michigan, Iowa, but there's up to an inch of rain some places in the Dakotas. And it looks like as though this is more of a trail, and it could be a clipper system, as you can see, folks, that's going to occur. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Anyway, let's just get back to doing this. Northern Montana, various amounts from about a quarter inch to 2 inches of rain, maybe 3, especially in northwestern Montana and northern Idaho, up to probably 4 to 6 inches of rain just east of Seattle, right between Seattle and Wenatchee. Olympic National Park, up to 3 inches of rain there, but sometimes they may be equivalent to the amount of snow that they'll get in some places, depending on the temperature profile, though. Hold on a minute, folks. Alright, I'm back. As for snow, I don't know if I already dealt with snow. Oh, yeah. Throughout many parts of New England, throughout northern New England, they range from about 3 to 6 inches of snow, but northeastern Maine up to a foot. Similar story in terms of 3 to 6 inches from Buffalo all the way down to all the way to Bristol, Tennessee, or Virginia, however you want to call it. Some parts of Michigan up to 3 inches of snow, barely traceable amounts in Indiana, Illinois, up to 3 inches of snow from Quincy, Illinois, all the way to Sioux Falls, but to the northwest of which, about at least 6 inches of snow. But in northeastern Montana, up to a foot, or close to a little more than that. Western Montana, maybe a little more than a foot in some places. Cascades in Washington State, about between 6 inches to 18 inches of snow. And I forgot to tell you guys about the current temperature. Well, let's see what we got. Okay, so temperatures in northern Maine, they are in the teens to low 20s. Oh, well, teens to 20s. But for folks in southern Maine and the rest of New England, temperatures are in the low 30s to mid 40s. 30s throughout upstate New York and Pennsylvania, and as well as for folks throughout much of the tri-state area of New York City. The mid-Atlantic, though, temperatures are in the 40s. Well, they are in the New England. Mid-Atlantic temperatures are in the mid-30s to mid-40s. In the southeast,